right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this week's Quantum Sparks class. Today, we're going to talk about choosing difficulty as a ritual. Sorry, just letting some people in. Okay, today's session is about something few people consciously practice, the art of choosing difficulty, not as punishment, not as struggle for struggle's sake, but as a ritual, a sacred habit that sharpens the mind, strengthens the spirit, and aligns your energy with power. We live in a world that trains us to seek comfort, to scroll instead of think, to wait instead of act, to choose the path of least resistance, which over time becomes the path of least existence. But growth doesn't happen in comfort. Growth happens in the space between who you are and who you're meant to become. That stretch zone called difficulty. When we choose difficulty willingly, when we pick up the phone to make the prospecting calls we've been avoiding, when we wake up early instead of hitting snooze, when we save instead of spend, speak instead of silence, forgive instead of resent, we reclaim power from the weakest part of ourselves. Each act of will raises vibration. It creates coherence between thought, emotion, and action, aligning your entire being into a single strong frequency. In that alignment, resistance turns into rhythm and hard things begin to feel natural. Over time, the difficult path becomes the chosen path, and the chosen path becomes the easy path. That's the goal of today's class, to reframe difficulty as devotion, to turn challenge into a ritual, and to remember that pain teaches what comfort cannot. With that, today's class is choosing difficulty as a ritual. As always, remember, knowledge is only potential. So make sure you take some notes today, write things down so that when you leave, you can go and execute and turn it into power. My quote for today is, "Adversity introduces a man to himself," Albert Einstein. So, what is difficulty? It is the resistance between who you are and who you could be. It is the potential. And what is ritual? That's our habit. A ritual is a sacred, repeated act that transforms identity through intention. Most people avoid discomfort. That's why many people get stuck. You look at where they were 20 years ago, and it's exactly where they are today. And often they complain, they say, "I wish I had done other things." But they're in the same place because they chose the easy path. Comfort is addictive, and comfort trades long-term freedom for short-term relief. Today's about having a new view of difficulty. Choosing difficulty is not a punishment, it's just preparation. Think about going to the gym and doing a workout. Why do people do it? It's because our muscles don't grow without the resistance. This is true about character as well. Easy choices lead to a harder life. Hard choices now lead to an easier life in the future. You can't avoid hard things. You can only choose to do it now or to do it later. Let's talk about the psychology of resistance. Inside each of us, there's two of us. We are built of duality. We have that weaker self and then the stronger one. We have these two voices within us. The weaker person inside us lives off of fear and judgment. It lives off of avoidance and making excuses because that weaker self is seeking comfort. And then we have the stronger self. That's the part of us that seeks courage, that has consistency, that goes for discipline, and truth. Pain teaches what comfort simply cannot. So think about in your life, what are the things that you typically resist? Write them down. The 3 things that maybe it's making your prospecting calls, maybe it's having difficult conversations with people. Think about the things that you resist and then ask yourself, what could the path look like if you made it so you love those things, that you thrive on those? Think about how different your life would look if you embraced the difficulty of the things that you enjoy the least and turn them into the things you enjoy the most through ritual. Let's talk about energy. Every act of will, that means that you're not unconsciously going through life doing things, which to a certain extent, we all do that throughout the day, unconsciously just do things. We're not activating our energy when we're simply just not paying attention to anything. Every act of will, however, where we make a decision to do something, we actively engage in a choice, that act of will raises our vibration. When you choose will, you're choosing over weakness. So you're choosing courage over comfort. When you choose fear, it is a low frequency. So choosing fear is when you make an excuse. You choose not to act. You put off things. That lowers frequency because it signals withdrawal, hesitation, and self-protection. Will, however, expands energy. It's an assertion of life force, the act of aligning your inner intent, what you wish, with your outer motion. When someone exerts willpower, they literally send a signal to the body and the field around them that I am in command. The act of coherence elevates vibration because energy begins to flow with purpose rather than just scattering through indecision. Think about resistance in general, what resistance creates in life, such as steam and diamonds. Resistance creates friction. Friction generates heat, and heat forges steel. So think of a reframe. The energy of achievement is the transformation of struggle into momentum. Like we said a second ago, looking at those things that you typically resist doing. What if you could turn those from struggle to you embracing them and looking forward to them and turning that into the momentum that creates the life you wish for? Imagine that each time you face something hard, energy is being turned into strength. Let's talk about how difficulty molds character. Adversity reveals what comfort hides. So everything hard that you do, all the difficult things you embrace, the difficult conversations you have, the things that are just hard to do in life, it could be something as simple as saving money every month or choosing not to buy something that you wish you had. All of the hard things that you endure, all of those little things rewire your identity, who you are as a human. That's why these choices are so significant, because these little choices are your becoming. The person who learns to save, so you sacrifice and say, okay, I can't have the things I want right now because I am going to put money away. So instead of going after the thing I want at this moment, I'm going to put away for a future that I wish for. That begins to turn your identity into a person that saves. You're a person that has restraint, and you become a person that has savings. So, where are some areas that you can practice difficulty as a ritual? Well, simple things you can do to practice difficulty as a ritual is waking up early. Train your mind to obey before comfort takes hold, before comfort lets you hit that snooze button. Fitness, using your inner discipline to move. Even when you're unmotivated, you're tired, not letting excuses to get in the way. Teach your body and mind unity. Saving money. Delay gratification because your patience will create wealth. Budgeting. The discomfort of tracking is the birth of abundance. Prospecting in your business. Practice facing rejection, because by practicing rejection, it's the same as going to the gym and lifting weights. You're building your muscle. Follow up. Build your muscle of consistently following up and doing what you say you were going to do. Learning. Replace the I don't know how to do that with I can learn how to do that. Just the paradigm shift of thinking a little bit differently. How about hard conversations? Choosing truth over comfort because it preserves your integrity. How do you turn difficulty into a habit? Well, first, of course, like any habit, repetition converts. So repetition converts discomfort into a default behavior. So while it's uncomfortable to start, if you can find within you the discipline to take the harder choice and to do that over and over, it eventually becomes your default. The path of most resistance should be the choice path. In other words, the path of least resistance is not going to get you to achieve the goals that you wish for in your life. You have to rewire your brain so that your brain chooses the path of most resistance, because through the resistance is where your strength is built. Those muscles become strong. So do not seek the path of least resistance, because it is also the path of least existence. Create affirmations. I choose the difficult things because difficult things make me powerful. And even beyond these little things that you can do in your life, small shifts in your thought paradigms will result in massive changes in your life and your business. So think of some of the very hard things to do in life and make that your default. So for example, choosing truth. Oftentimes, people don't choose truth because they rather choose approval. So choose truth over approval. It is a decision to voice conviction when silence would be safer, thus standing in integrity, even when it costs belonging. Sometimes the difficult thing is just being still. In a world addicted to distraction, stillness is a rebellion. Reflection, or simply being without stimulation, forces confrontation with one's own thoughts. Often the hardest yet most liberating conversation of all is the one with yourself. Choose accountability, not blaming, not deflecting, not putting out excuses. Own your role in every outcome. Release resentment. Choosing to release resentment is a sacred form of inner difficulty that builds spiritual muscle. And as we said, delayed gratification. Resisting the immediate reward builds willpower. It is the quiet art of choosing later over now. And then the last, choosing grace. The true test of mastery is grace under fire. Choosing compassion in the heat of conflict requires restraint, empathy, awareness, and emotional alchemy in action. So the goal of life is not to live without struggle, but to build a self that thrives within struggle. And as the great Joseph Campbell once said, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. Seek difficulty. As always, you can download our recent Quantum Sparks classes at laerrealty.com/Quantum Sparks. And if there's ever a topic that you wish for us to cover in a future Quantum Sparks, go to laerrealty.com/ask anything. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.